Well, good morning, everyone, and here is a revision. Operation Domesticated Swan has been canned. Now, I should say I'm not ex-military, so when I do apply war studies knowledge, it's all theoretical for me, and that means that thankfully a lot of the subscribers on the channel who are ex-military have been able to point me in the right direction. Now, I do serve, but I do a lot of different things to the military. It's a completely different world. So, based on feedback, Operation Domesticated Swan has now morphed into Operation Bunny Hop. And the objective is to cross the Limpopo River, which is in modern day Mozambique, which I've renamed Oilem. So Oilem is an allied nation. So this is a training exercise. It's not a war, but it will be fought like a war game. And the idea is that this will be putting the airborne forces, which I've just created here and finished the 4 Chinooks. I need to go and build a load more things. And it will be putting them in operation with the main Malagasy Expeditionary Force, or MEF, and in particular the engineering assets held by the MEF and those allocated to the battle group. Now, I work on a 3, 6, 9 multiple system, so you have 3 companies in each battle group plus a support company. You then have 3 battle groups per MEF. So the MEF is 3 battle groups. So what you see me modelling is a third of the MEF, because there's no way I can build 18 Chinooks and 9 CH-53s. I'd go bankrupt and my wife wouldn't be happy and I'd be divorced. So anyway, the idea is that this is going to be a battle group exercise, putting everything into context. So Operation Bunny Hop, to cross the Limpopo River. Now, let's have a look at the ground. So the Limpopo River is a river here, which, like I said, is in Mozambique today. Oilem, as I've renamed it. So Oilem, of course, a NATO ally, not in NATO, but allied. And Oilem is an oil-rich country like my modern-day Malagasy state. Limpopo River here, quite a big river, and it goes into the Indian Ocean, and here is the border with South Africa. So you've got Swaziland and South Africa here, so you've got tributaries flowing in. And the actual location of this imaginary fictitious exercise is here in this newly identified exercise area. So here's another geographical picture, so you can just see the Limpopo here in the corner, and this is to give you an idea of the ground and the terrain surrounding it. Now, in the wet season, it gets impassably swampy, so this will be a dry season exercise once the river has gone to some form of normality, but you've still got swampy ground on each side, so need to be careful. You've also got crocodiles, and the idea is to get 2 battle groups across. Now, my battle groups work at the minute with the MEF in medium, which is sort of 50-ton max. But the limit and payload for the Chinooks is a maximum of 12,000 kilograms, and that's on a good day in good conditions. Now, we're flying in Africa, so I'm really saying 10 tons is what these Chinooks want to be carrying. Now, thankfully, most of my airborne equipment is light, so these are 8.5 tons each, the BVS 410 Viking. These are all from Butler's printed models. So these are 9 tons if you add a bit of load to them. Now, they can carry 5 tons in the back of the cargo version, but empty, you're looking at 7 for these, and then they can carry that extra capacity, but 8 for the 8.5 to 9 for the versions, the APC versions and the ambulance. Then we've got the Weasels at 3 tons. We've got some engineering and plant equipment, again lightweight, so well within the weight limit. The issue you get is in artillery, and when you start factoring in heavy engineering equipment. Now, I say heavy, this is actually relatively light, so you're looking at 16 tons empty for the M9 Ace, 15 tonnes for the high mobility excavators, 24 tonnes for the ZBD 05 amphibious armoured vehicles, and then when you start adding MRAPs and Spark mine clearers, you soon get up in weight. Same with the Foden drops and the pontoons. The pontoons are actually quite light, but when you factor in what you need to prepare the site, you quickly get up that weight limit. So the idea is it's going to be a combined exercise combining the airborne and the medium weight assets. So the objective is to support the advance of the Malagasy Expeditionary Force with a combined arms operation to take and hold a vital river crossing to permit the advance to a strategic objective. So I'm trying to tie everything into the strategic objective. Now, war is a continuation of politics, as said by Clausewitz, and the objective is to disarm your enemy. If you look at Sun Tzu and the Mecca, if you like, the golden Mecca for Western military operations, they are always trying to achieve the indirect approach. So how was that achieved in Gulf War One, where you had the hook that swung in, and that is, if you like, the gold standard of what Western military operations are trying to aim for. They're going for the indirect approach. That's really coming from Basil Liddell Hart, from Sun Tzu, from that kind of thing. But the idea is that you can disarm your enemy without necessarily having to fight and grind your enemy down. It's very different to Soviet doctrine or the doctrine that the Russians are using in Ukraine, which is an attritional strategy. Now, the Malagasy Expeditionary Force is not set up for an attritional strategy. It doesn't operate to that model. It does have heavier assets like the 60+ ton Merkavas and the Namers, but they are staying in the Malagasy state. This is the idea of projecting power and disarming your enemy through an indirect approach as opposed to attritional direct warfare. So in this case, the objective is to bypass the enemy line and seize the strategic objective, which is their main supply route, to cut the enemy formations off and disarm them. So if we take a look at the overall picture here, what we have is we have the Limpopo River, and this is the exercise area. We have the forward edge of battle area here. We have the enemy's main forces committed on this bank of the Limpopo River. And they are going to be hit by a diversionary attack by one battle group from the Malagasy Expeditionary Force, which has 3 battle groups. And the idea is that they will be pinned down and held in this location by this diversionary attack, which will be made to look like a significant attack, and they'll be pinned down along the forward edge of battle here. They will then have to divert some of their resources from the north, bring those down south, and once those forces are committed, the ground-based battle groups will push and cut through the forward edge of battle here. They will take a village to the north here, and then they will fan out to hold a line here. At the same time, and it's important that these are coordinated at the right moment, there'll be an airborne operation here to take the crossing over the Limpopo River. The battle group which remains will then push forwards here and will then come down to cut the enemy's main supply route here. So then, with the enemy pinned here at the forward edge of battle, with their rear cut by a battle group, with them pinned in here on the flank, they will then hopefully be disarmed. They'll have to give up, or they'll then be surrounded, isolated, and just pounded by air power from the Malagasy state. The Malagasy state has significant air power. Now, supporting this, there'll be some Oilem heavy units, and Oilem light units will be playing the enemy. It's all not to scale, but this gives you an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. So they need to take the Limpopo River crossing. So let's look at the airborne operation. Now, to protect them, there'll be some special forces operations going on in this area here, on this bank of the river. The airborne recce platoon will push forwards as well with an airborne operation, and special forces screening to the north. Now these will be where the MH47Gs, the MH60JMs are used, and the airborne recce platoon will be pushed out to give screening. Now, to hold and stop the enemy forces from attacking the crossings, there'll be the airborne anti-tank screen will be pushed out here, and that will give a screen. Now this is going to be redone with javelins, and that will screen from this flank, and there'll be two main airborne landing zones, one on this bank of the river and one here. And there is an alternative site should this one be compromised further up the river to the north. A bit less ideal, but that would be a secondary site if they needed it, so they can switch to that. Now, as the ground forces push forwards, they will be taking this village here, and they will be setting up an artillery base of fire, which with the GMLRS, the guided multiple launch rocket system, and the G6s will be able to cover and put fire down on this area. But it's important that once the crossing is taken, that they set up air defences, and that they bring forwards the 120mm mortars, and then they actually bring forward some heavier artillery. I'm looking at the M777 or the 105 light guns, and set those up here to hold this area. The advancing ground forces will then move forwards here, cross the river, and then push down to that MSR, pushing down south. That is the idea. So to make this operation successful, we need to have an airborne operation to seize the crossing, airborne operation to set up air defences, that will be the lightweight NASAM systems. They'll still be within the Patriot battery's extended range from the ground forces, but they're going to set up NASAMs, and the idea is it will leapfrog forwards. And then there'll be an engineering operation to cross. Now, the engineering assets are medium weight assets, so they are not really air portable. So what we're going to be using to cross the river is these pontoons. Now, these are from S&S models. So this is a GS boat from S&S models. And then we've got three pontoon bridges. We've got the end pieces here, two end pieces in the middle section. Now, these can carry a significant amount of weight. They can actually carry a main battle tank across. And this is actually a vehicle 4x4 crossing the Limpopo River on a pontoon. The idea is that this is just a military version with a bigger scale. Now, preparing the site and getting the bridging into place, you need the M9 ACEs and the HMEE excavators. You also need some further engineering plants, such as gravel from these tipper trucks, and I've got a couple of other digging devices just to aid that. The engineers, of course, that are airborne don't have a heavyweight plant. They can do a little bit, but they've only really got these mini diggers here. So the scale of what you're pushing out with the ground-based engineering and pontoons is significantly higher. Now, to push forwards and give the airborne forces some support, we've got some I think these are ZTD-05s with the 105mm. These are fully amphibious, so these can cross the Limpopo River without a problem. They'll just go into their water mode like this and cross it. So not an issue pushing those forward. So these will be at the vanguard with the Centuros of the light screening forces, and there'll be route clearing engineers as well to make sure that the route is not IED'd or remotely mined. So these will go in the vanguard to get across to give the airborne operation some support, and then the site will be prepared by these, which will have to be up near the vanguard, and then the actual pontoon crossings will be put in place to ferry across the heavy equipment, get the battle group into position. Now, the good thing about most of my airborne vehicles, my airborne light vehicles, is that these BVS 410s are fully amphibious, so they can cross the Limpopo back and forth. So if there's an attack on LZ1 that needs repelling and needs some extra support, these can cross, and then they can get that troop support over there. So the idea is I'll be taking 3 companies. This is a company on display with its allocated mortar sections, I'll be taking 3 companies forwards in Chinooks. The first one will be dropped LZ1, second one LZ2, and then the third one will go in to wherever it's needed. So that's using the battle group resources of the MEF. So should have enough with the 3 battle groups to achieve this operation. So airborne op to seize the crossing, airborne operation to set up the defences, engineering operation to cross, and then a combined arms crossing, and then eventually extraction. So if we go back through the plan, this is Operation Bunny Hop. The idea is to cross the river and hop the MEF across. War is a continuation of politics. The idea is here to cut the enemy's MSR, isolating their main force on that side of the river, pinning them down with diversionary attack. And that is Operation Bunny Hop. I'll open it up for questions. Let me know what you think. Hopefully it's a good way of doing combined arms operations. I'll be wargaming against myself unless I can persuade my daughter to take part, because my wife refuses. So here we have one bank. The river will be running down here. I'll use a string to make it, and then I'll clear up my son's Thomas Chaos and move the table out. So I need to do it on a rest day when the wife is at work and when the kids are at school. Wish me luck. Bye.